Hello, first grade friends. Welcome to another learning video, this time with me, Mrs. Stallsmith. Before we begin, I'm going to show you a feelings chart so that you can share your feelings with me. So let's look. Here's the feelings chart. Friends, how do you feel today? Do you feel scared, happy? Do you feel sad? Perhaps you're angry or excited? Are you worried, surprised, silly? Or are you feeling frustrated? Friends, let's look at the sentence stem. It says, today I feel, and go ahead and tell me how you feel. Take a few seconds to share. All right, thank you so much for sharing. This says, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. What do you remember about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.? Let's see, maybe this slider will help you. Yes, friends, these are books that we read back in January about some great leaders. You're right. Here is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and here's the title of his book that we read, Martin's Big Words. This one over here is Elizabeth Leads the Way. Remember this story about Elizabeth Cady Stanton and the right to vote? Oh, and look at this story, The Youngest Marcher by Audrey Faye Hendricks. Friends, these were all stories about great leaders that helped make important changes. They were true stories about their lives and how they helped others. So let's move on to Martin's Big Words. Now, by looking at the cover of his book, I want you to try to think of what else you can remember about Martin Luther King Jr. Because today we're going to read another story about Martin Luther King Jr. It will give us more information about him, but before we read the story, we're going to look at some of his illustrations from his book, Martin's Big Words. These illustrations will help us make connections with what we already know about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. All right, so let's see. Martin's Big Words. You said that he was a leader. What else can you add to that? Yes, friends, he used his big words. As a matter of fact, it says it right here, big words. He used his big words to do what? To fight for Black people. You're absolutely right. Let's look at these other illustrations to see if these illustrations, these pictures, help us make other connections and try to remember the information that we've gotten from this book. Let's see. The first picture is Martin. Here he is when he was a little boy. He noticed that white and Black people were not allowed to do the same things. Black people were not treated fairly. Here he is pointing to the water fountains. One is for whites only, the other is for Blacks only. There were many places that Black people were not allowed to go. So let's think. What do you remember about young Martin Luther King Jr. and school? What do you remember? Yes, friends, that's right. Black and white children had to go to different schools, friends. How did Martin Luther King feel about that? Yes, he thought it was wrong. How would you feel? How would you feel, friends, if you weren't allowed to go to the same school as your friends just because of the color of your skin? How would that make you feel? Think about it. This next picture here, this next illustration is a Black and a white hand holding each other. What does this mean? Yes, it means that Martin Luther King wanted people to live together and be kind to each other. He wanted everyone to be treated equally, to be allowed to do the same things no matter what color of skin they had. And that, my friends, is what Dr. Martin Luther King did for a long time. He led the civil rights movement. He wanted all Americans to be treated fairly no matter the color of their skin. You're right. Let's take a look at this other illustration. What can you tell me about this illustration? And I already showed you the word. This says protest, to protest. And that's what the people here are doing. They are protesting. And when you protest, you are showing others, this is a way of showing others something that you don't like. This is what Martin Luther King did with people. He protested, and he led peaceful protests to fight for Black American rights. And over in this picture, tell me about this picture. Yes, Martin used his big words to fight for what he believed was wrong. Instead of fighting with his hands, we already know that he fought with his words in a peaceful manner, right? Yes, he's making a big speech here. Do you remember that famous speech that he made? Yes, it was called I Have a Dream. And here's the word speech, because speech means to talk to others. All right, let's move on. Friends, like I said, we're going to read another story about Martin Luther King Jr., but this story doesn't have any pictures. But that's okay, because you already know a lot of information. We just looked at some illustrations, made some connections, and remembered a lot of things about Martin Luther King Jr. But friends, in this picture, it says here, reading is thinking. When you are reading, friends, you are listening to a story, you're thinking and making connections to what you already know. This will help you understand what you are reading, okay? So here's the story. I want you to remember to listen to the story if you're not going to read it. If you're going to read it, remember to be thinking while you're reading. And if you're just listening to it, thinking while you're listening. All right, here we go. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. by Cynthia Sherwood. Every January, we celebrate the life of a great man. Martin Luther King Jr. fought for civil rights. He believed all Americans should be treated fairly, no matter what their skin color. Dr. King was born in 1929 in Georgia. Since he was Black, he could not go to the same schools as white children. Black Americans also had to use separate restrooms, restaurants, theaters, and swimming pools in some states. Dr. King thought this was wrong. He was a Christian minister who worked for equal rights for Black people. He helped lead peaceful protests to change those unfair laws. It was a hard fight. Dr. King was attacked and arrested many times, but more and more Americans grew to understand that it was wrong to treat Black people differently from white people. In 1963, Dr. King led 250,000 people in a march to Washington, D.C. While there, Dr. King gave his famous I Have a Dream speech. He spoke about his hopes for America. He said people should be judged by their hearts, not by their skin color. His efforts helped bring about new laws to create equal rights for all Americans. The third Monday of January is a holiday to celebrate the life of Martin Luther King. We honor his courage in working to improve the lives of so many people. All right, good job, friends. Were you thinking about the story while you were listening? Yes, because reading is thinking, friends. In the story, it said that we celebrated, it says here, the third Monday of January is a holiday to celebrate the life of Martin Luther King. So we are going to look at this calendar and try to understand what that means, the third Monday in January. So here's a January calendar, and we're going to look at the third Monday. So first, we have to make sure we start with the first day of January, because this is not the first day of January over here. So we have to make sure it's the first day of January, and then we're going to look for Monday. Here's Monday. So the first Monday was the 6th, right here. Here's the second Monday and the third Monday. So the third Monday of every January is when we celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King's Jr.'s Day. Yeah. And so in the story, it also said that Dr. Martin Luther King was born in Georgia. Here's a map of the United States, friends, and who can tell me? The yellow is what state? I'll give you a hint. We live here. Yes, you're right. It's Tennessee. So Tennessee is right next to the state where Martin Luther King Jr. was born. It is Georgia. Yes, here's the state of Georgia right next to the state of Tennessee. Good job, friends. All right. Now we have, these are 4 stories that we have read, friends. 4 stories of great leaders who helped make important changes for people. You know what? We can all help make changes too. Can you think of something you can do to help others? So let's look at this chart. How can you help others? So think of 3 ways you can help your family at home. What can you do to help your family at home? So can you think of 3 ways? And you can draw pictures and tell someone at home about your drawings. Or you can draw pictures and write about them and share them with your teacher next time you Zoom with her. So friends, remember, you can also be leaders and help others. So think of ways that you can help your family at home. Maybe it's by helping taking care of your little brother or sister, by helping to clean the house, by helping your parents cook, something. So I can't wait to see what you draw and what you write. All right, friends, that's it. Thank you so much for learning with me today. Let me find myself. I'm in here somewhere. Let me see. Good job. Thank you, friends. I miss you so much, and I can't wait to see you. Bye.